fancy. It was way back in 1788 when Governor Phillip and I landed in Botany Bay. How time flies. As we sailed into the harbour, we got a whiff of the boiling downworks. "My goodness, this country smells," said Phillip. "I told you we were landing in the wrong place," I replied. "Why couldn't you have landed some place more genteel, like Rose Bay?" "Who's governor of this colony?" he replied heatedly. All right, I said. "Don't do your block in front of the convicts." So we landed at Farm Cove, and the rest is history. It was a pretty wild spot, and the natives were a bit suspicious. "Blimey," said one of the convicts, "take me back to Dartmoor." We put him in irons. "I think we'll build a jail first," said Phillip. The first sign of civilisation was a jail. Then we built the barracks. After that I said to Phillip, "Well, what about lunch?" "Good idea," he said. "Lunch, ho," I brawled, and there was a great clanging of leg irons as the convicts collapsed in their tracks. "Oh, I'm glad you thought to pack some sandwiches before we left England," I said. "Doesn't seem to me much to eat around this place." "I think of everything," said Phillip, somewhat boastfully, I thought. "I've even bought a couple of rabbits and a potted prickly pear which I intend to plant shortly. They ought to do well in this country." We were sitting down munching on our sandwiches when Sir Joseph Banks come rushing up with a piece of lantana in one hand and a sprig of Bathurst burr in the other. "Look what I found," he cried delightfully. "How quaint," said Phillip. "We must plant a lot of that too. Come on, Joe, have a sandwich." We'd just finished the last of our sandwiches when a soldier came up, saluted and said, "Sir, one of the convicts has bitten a piece out of his pick. He did it deliberately." "Hang him," said Phillip. "Yes, sir." And that was that. "You're a bit drastic, aren't you?" I asked when the soldier had gone. "Oh, we can get plenty of convicts, but we're a bit short of picks." "Well, I suppose you're right." "Of course I'm right." That's the sort of man he was, bombastic. "What's this track we're cutting here?" I asked him. "Oh, that's George Street. I named it after the ship's parrot." "Holy Moses! What's the matter?" "Oh, it's all right. Must be the heat. I thought I saw a big brown thing standing upright on two legs with a long tail, and it jumped 15 feet and disappeared into the bush." "You ought to lay off that rum," I told him. We found out later they were real. Kangaroos, not rum after all. After all this time, Blacksland was away in the hills with Lawson and Wentworth. We were beginning to get a bit worried about them. However, they came back after a while and they said they'd discovered 3 railway stations. They had the audacity to name them after themselves. Phillip immediately named a street after himself. He was very annoyed. He even went so far as to name a whole bay after himself. He called it Port Phillip in order to make it sound a bit more important. He was a man inclined to bicker at trifles. One day when he found me fraternising with the natives, he got quite furious until I told him that I'd learned a number of good names for towns like Wagga Wagga and Coonamble and Waganya. That sort of soothed him a bit. After a few months, we'd had the town pretty well fixed up, and had imported a few bushrangers to liven things up, and darn me if MacArthur didn't arrive with some merino sheep he'd picked up somewhere. "You fool," said Phillip bitterly. "They'll eat all the grass, and how me rabbits get on?" "Oh, I never thought of that," said MacArthur, biting his nails. "A fine team of colonists I've got," Phillip went on. "You must admit," I said, "we have made progress. When we first landed there was nothing here to see but scenery. Now look at it. We put up 2 new scaffolds, we got a whole street planted with prickly pear and—" Yes, I know all that, but nobody's ever here when they want it. There's Bass and Flinders, off somewhere in a boat, fishing I suppose. You can get someone else to be governor, I'm fed up." It was a very nasty scene and rightly been left out of most of the history books. But still, when I look around today and see the results of our labours, I say to myself, well, we certainly gave the town a good start. I'm still able to give the town a good start when I've got money in my pocket. The old pioneer spirit still lives on.